Hello, my friends. I've got a special treat for you this week. Her name is Barbara Luster, and she is a girl boss investor who has basically built a portfolio over the years by buying single family residences and condos. So I thought I'd share her story. She's a perfect example of keep achieving, which was the theme of our NAWRB podcast this week. So hopefully you catch that rewatch on Facebook, and I hope to see you guys at Homeownership Day on January 23rd. Hi, Barbara. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you. I wanted to thank you for joining me today to talk about your homeownership journey. I think it's
Sure.
such a great.
It seems a little weird, but hey.
Yeah, well, I feel like, you've got a great story and I want to share that with other people and, help them to realize just what the power of owning property and kind of doing slow and steady what that can do for them. So yeah, why don't you tell me about your first property? Where was it? What did you pay? Why did you decide to get into homeownership?
Well, my first property was a home that I was moving into.
Mhm.
I was in my 20s, and my partner and I decided we were living in an apartment, which is that, and we didn't want to live in an apartment anymore. I got kind of tired of living in a small space, and we wanted a bigger space, wanted a backyard. So we
Mhm.
bought a house in Glenwood, Illinois,
Wonderful.
3 bedroom, single family unit. The basement was below. We didn't have a basement. We had a family room that was a level down, 6 steps down.
Okay.
So that was really cool. So yeah, that was what we did. My first property, just buy my own home for us to
That,
live in.
that's awesome. Do you remember what you paid for that one, Barbara?
Yeah, I paid $75,000 for it,
Oh my gosh.
or
No.
74,900 something. I think it was 74,900 for that. It
Well,
was built in 1978.
okay.
So
Okay.
it wasn't. This was in '85. Let me tell you that too. So
Okay.
it wasn't that old a house at the time. It was
Hmm.
still relatively not a new house, but relatively new house at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you remember like your biggest challenge with that property, with being a homeowner and being kind of new to everything in your 20s?
I'll tell you what my biggest frustration was the entire buying process.
Yeah. Yeah.
I I mean the fees I just did not understand, and I still don't appreciate even today. That is my biggest challenge. It's all the fees you have to pay
Yeah.
to close on a house. It's
Right.
not just the well. Now I've gotten past none the closing costs to me,
Mhm.
and just that everybody is involved. There's some.
Yeah.
It's a hand, and you have to
I,
pay $200 to this person and $400 to this person, $1,000 to this person. It's still to me the thing that I like dislike the most about
right.
purchasing
Well, because
property.
they really add up and it's something,
Yes, it does.
yeah, it's money that doesn't get to go towards your property. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I think what a night maybe nowadays. Well, since then, of course, I have to. I'm paying what is it? A conventional loan.
hmm.
So what? 10% goes towards your property or something like that. But still, I mean, and in California, my
Yeah.
God, I bought this property in Illinois, so it's
Mhm.
even as much as I complained about it at the time, it's still a lot less expensive than it is buying purchasing property in California. So you have to, I think you have to psychologically be ready to
Yes.
pay those fees because you know
It's true, and to some people, it's like a shock. It's
it is.
big bite to swallow, and they're like, "Man, I don't wanna do that," but it's like, you think about the fees on the rental side too, and you're basically just giving all of the mortgage payment that you would be earning equity on to your landlord, so it's like, it's hard to win either way, but there's always something involved there. One thing that I do like about California now is that, the lenders had to disclose all their fees up front
Mm-hmm.
3 days. So that's
Mm-hmm.
nice because I remember, being an agent for 17 years, there has been buyers previous before this law was enacted that they would come to me and they go, I wasn't expecting that. And so
Mm-hmm.
big like up ruckus the last few days before escrow is supposed to close. So, it's nice to have it all at least disclosed, but I agree with you. It would be nice if they would just go away with all of that.
But at that time, it wasn't as big a chunk of,
Mhm.
as as large a heft that you had to do at the time, and I complained then. So, but so that well, and the other biggest challenge I think I had was we always had when it rained, we would always take on water in my family room below.
Okay.
But the carpeting man could never really figure out how to make that stop. I
Oh,
always took on some kind of water. We would fix one crack and then there'd be another crack, but I definitely was something I was really happy that I did. Definitely, even though I didn't have a lot of challenges with homeowners, with those two little things are my only things that I have to complain about.
well, and water can be so tough. It's because it is. It's like, where is it coming from? And if you
Where's it coming from?
change
Right.
that source of it, then
Hmm.
it's always there and it's always a problem. Well, I mean, you've definitely made some good decisions with property. So what led you to buy another property and still keep one that you had?
Okay, so Gisette was in school. Eventually, Gisette went off to go to college.
Okay.
2000, Gisette came here to California to go to school,
Mhm.
and the rent was eight. Now we're talking about renting now. I think the rent was $800 for her to rent a one bedroom. Might have been just a one bedroom. I just could not. That logically didn't make. I'm just cheap. Let's just say. I mean, I'm frugal when it comes to money. And that made absolutely no sense to me. So I've owned this home for years now. My
Mhm.
daughter's going off to college. I could not see paying a landlord $800 a month
Oh,
to live in a one bedroom apartment.
I know.
So I had to purchase. We purchased a condo so she could live in, get a room. We got her roommate, so they both were going to school, so they both live together. And of course, now I'm a landlord, and
Yeah,
at least I feel like I'm paying myself
right.
instead
Exactly.
of just paying someone else.
Yeah.
So, and basically that's been my philosophy, I would say,
Hmm.
throughout the fact that my since 2000 I've been, well, 85 when I bought my own home, but 2000 when I purchased a home for her to live in.
Hmm.
um I said, well, I'm now a landlord. I just cannot see myself paying. And see, and I'm from the Midwest, so
Yeah.
$800 is a lot for my daughter
Mortgage
to
payment
spend.
back there, it's a mortgage payment. So I can see where you were like, why would I do this? And it was, uncomfortable, I'm sure, either way, but you made the better long-term decision by,
But I don't think I was spending $800 a month on the condo.
no, I'm sure you weren't.
So no, it was not. So that was the other thing. It was a little. There was some savings there,
Mhm.
and uh, uh, and I'm actually this is something that I'm paying myself. I felt like I was paying me instead of paying. Um, and wow, honestly, if I had known at the time what a good investment that was, I would have purchased more.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
could,
would have purchased more condominiums in that location. If they had had some others available for sale, I would have purchased more. I
yeah.
mean, because I'm working, I'm not wealthy or anything like that, and I'm a huge saver. Everything goes, I spend very little money because my needs are not a lot. Um, and I save, I'm huge. Everything goes to saving, into a bank account. Eventually I started investing. So
Mhm.
it goes in that direction.
That you were saving this whole time though, and I think that that's something that's almost like a lost art of our society. People don't really save anymore, and they don't think about, getting back into a better time through their own accord, and they're just looking for, the next stimulus or whatever it might be. So saving
Um,
and, being able to empower yourself is great. Can you hear
and that I have my hardest problem. Well, so nowadays that's what I talk about all day long.
me?
And then eventually you learn that you have to pay yourself first. So
Yep.
eventually I did learn that this was one way, saving was a way to pay me.
Hmm.
Um,
So I wanted to ask you, how many units do you currently own right now?
so currently I own 6.
Nice.
Okay,
Tell me
so,
about your portfolio.
huh?
Tell me
Yeah,
about your
yeah,
portfolio.
right. So when Gisette moved again,
Hmm.
I did not, I think this was similar to one of your questions, but instead of selling that unit, and the
Hmm.
reason why, because I purchased it in California, which I had no idea the market in California was going to be the type of a market that would appreciate like it did. So
Yeah.
I purchased that condo at 200,000. And when I got ready to sell it, I think like 5 years later, and it's in Long Beach. And it's
Hmm.
in that little area right down there near Ocean. Is that Ocean Drive?
Okay. I love Long Beach.
Near Ocean. Yeah, it's near. It's like 4 blocks away from the ocean.
Okay. Yeah, that's
You
probably
can
Ocean
walk to the
Drive.
ocean.
Hmm.
So within 4 or 5 years, it was worth 350. And this is during the bubble. So during the bubble, it was worth a lot.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, when houses was overpriced or over
Yep.
whatever evaluated, it was
Yep.
worth a lot. So I'm like, oh well, okay. So I've made all this money off the owning this house, and I'm not spending it. Only thing I spent was closing costs,
Right.
which I still don't like, but at least I can survive that now.
Yep.
And so when she was moving, um, and she was looking for another place, and she wasn't ready to purchase her own house at the time.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, well, again, I can't see you spending rent money and you're not giving it back to yourself, or you're not paying me. So then we purchased the townhouse in
The Mission
in
View.
Mission Viejo. And of course, then you came into our lives because you helped us find the townhouse in Mission Viejo.
That was a
And
good one.
so, and then when I moved out of my house in Glenwood, Illinois, when I moved into a another, I'm trying to move up.
Mhm.
I lived in that property about, was it 15, 20 years? Maybe. I think it was about 20 years I lived in that property when I decided to buy something larger for myself.
Okay.
Um, so and it was just easier. I wasn't really thinking at the time that, okay, um, that this is something that I should do as an investor. I'm an investor now. I wasn't looking at it that way. I
Yeah.
just didn't feel like that year. I just didn't feel like going through the trouble of selling it.
Okay.
I just didn't want to go through that whole process. So I never sold it. So I rented it out.
Good.
So
Okay.
now I've ended up with technically 3 properties that are rented, and I live in one.
Good. That's so awesome. I love it. And it was like, you weren't necessarily planning and
I
strategizing
was not.
to be this like powerhouse investor or anything like
Right.
that. You were just making your life better as you went along and saying, well, I don't have time for that, or I don't feel like doing that. And, just doing you. And it ended up being, really great decisions and a great portfolio, because what I love about your portfolio is you have different types of properties
Mm-hmm.
and you have different areas. So you're not stuck to Southern California. And you also, what you have is condos and single family and
Mm-hmm.
homes,
Mm-hmm.
so that no matter where you're at in life or what size your family grows or shrinks to, you have something that can accommodate you if you want to live in it.
That was something that I always kept in mind. I could always go back to Glenwood and
Mhm.
live there because the neighborhood has changed and it's a really nice neighborhood. So it's somewhere I could just live the rest of my life. The other thing that became one of my trains of thought was that what I was purchasing was nice enough for somebody to live in.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I even started with Glenwood. I think my first tenant was Section 8. Pretty
Okay.
sure. It was not the first one, it was the second tenant, was Section 8. And
Mhm.
so for that house, because I thought it was such a nice house for family, a Section 8 family to live in, I
Mhm.
wanted to keep it that way. It did become sort of altruistic after a while. I wanted someone that could afford to live in something nice if through Section 8 to have something really nice to live in.
That's
And
good.
so that's another reason why, after a while, I started looking at it that way. People can move into this property.
Mhm.
These properties are really nice. I do still have one Section 8 tenant that lives in the one in Long Beach.
Yeah.
It's really nice. She really loves it. Her and her two children, they really like living there. And so, and I'm the kind of person that will put money back into the property when when something needs repairs. I fix it right away.
Yeah.
We paint it when it's time to paint and when it's time to upgrade it a little bit. I do those sort of things. So it's always nice for somebody to live in. So after a while, that became my driving force.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would have
you're helping
something
the
nice for
community
someone else to
grow.
live in.
Yeah, that helps somebody on their feet. And we all know that a lot of Section 8 landlords are more like slumlords. So it's nice
Exactly.
to be
Exactly.
one of the good guys in that space, you know?
But
So,
now we have one Section 8 tenant. I have two other tenants. They're not Section 8, and
mhm,
they pay their rent on time every month.
good.
And I've gone through that Section 8. Well, was she Section 8? No, I went to a tenant that was not Section 8
Mm,
that didn't pay. So I had to survive that.
yeah, yeah.
That actually had
That's
to evict somebody and go through that process. I've only had to do that once.
okay,
So
good.
that's not been so bad. So
Not
yeah.
bad stats. Yeah, only one eviction. And then how do you see your properties as like part of your long-term journey? And are you intending to take any new steps with properties or are you done?
I think I might be done because I'm retired. But
Yeah.
now, because I'm retired, I really manage my own property. I think I've always been kind of active, and fortunately, the properties didn't require all that much. But now I've gotten savvy. People
Mhm.
have what is it called? They pay for the what is it you have to pay? God, I can't think. Home warranty.
Okay.
Every tenant also has to pay the home warranty. So if something breaks, I don't have to figure out who's going to fix it. I just pay to have someone come out, and so it's much easier. So I've gotten smarter over time,
Yeah, you're
uh,
automating systems.
and I think that might have been you that helped me think through that. And also, what did you else you had me do? Oh, the tenant has to have insurance, rental insurance.
Yes, yeah.
So that came from you. That
I'll
idea came
check
from you.
you.
So I'm learning some things from you as we go along. But I
Yeah.
think maybe I might be done. I'm
Yeah,
just going to manage these properties since I'm retired and just
good.
live out my life and be happy.
And enjoy it. So then in your retirement, like what advice would you give somebody that is happy right now and they only own one property? What would you tell somebody?
Well, I now see the investment aspect of it
Mhm.
because it becomes, I own stocks and property. So
As you should.
it's my portfolio now. So
Mhm.
I would definitely tell anyone that has, they're going to invest one way or the other for me. To
Mhm.
me, you're either going to invest in stocks or you're going to invest in real estate. And I think they both are good investment avenues. I really do. So
Right.
I would definitely, if you have extra money, um, if you want to be a landlord, be a landlord. If you want to own real estate, especially in California, I definitely would say there's not a property that I purchased in California has not been worth the and I definitely now because the one that I'm living in now, I don't want to sell. I'm not going to sell it because I really enjoy where I'm living.
Yeah, don't
But
sell.
now I think about that I have to recoup that closing cost.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now I need to hold it. If it was a property and I wanted to sell it, I've
Right.
got to be able to recover the closing costs when I purchase and when I sell. So that's
Exactly.
another thing that I think about. I would definitely tell anybody that's interested in investing in real estate to definitely do it.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth the investment value. Because some people use it for, because like the house in Glenwood, that's just not investment. It's not just the appreciation over the what I paid $75,000 plus closing for it at the time, plus whatever. Well, yeah, that's what I paid. So now it's I can sell it for like $175,000. But I also, because I get income out of the property. I forgot
Right.
about that because you can also look at you need extra income and you don't want to work too hard to get it. That's another way to get extra income too.
I love that part about property. It's like once you pay down the mortgage to a certain point and the rent is, higher than that, then all of that extra money goes in your pocket every month. And then you can have a nicer lifestyle.
And usually the rent, you're going to charge a higher rent than what you're paying for the
Yeah.
mortgage
Yeah.
and HOA fees and taxes. You usually want to make sure all of those things are covered in that rent. So yeah, even if it's just $100 extra a month and you're not working too hard. And as I say, now with home warranty companies, they pay for all the upkeep. You don't have to worry about upkeep anymore.
Yeah.
So most of your money,
which is
think
not
about, huh?
They have a number to call, which is not yours now too. They just call home warranty.
Just call, yes. And they'll have some, I mean, you're going to spend $75, $100 to have someone come and repair it, but it's a whole lot. And they end up repairing things and purchasing, like a refrigerator goes out and you're covered, they're going to buy a new refrigerator.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of advantages to that.
Well, good.
Definitely.
I love it. I love how you've been just learning and growing and improving.
That's exactly right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time, Barbara. I won't keep you too long. Do you have any parting words for anyone?
Don't be, well, especially if are they going to use you as an advisor along the way?
If they want to, I hope to earn their trust.
Okay. Well, I definitely tell them to, if you're talking to you, use you as an advisor along the way. And it is a learning process. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at it as a long-term plan.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it. Home ownership and purchase. I mean, being a landlord is not even bad, actually. That's like I say, I only had one tenant that I had to deal with negatively, but and just do your homework. And especially if you're going to rent, you're buying something to rent, do your homework and make sure you're finding the right tenant.
Yep. And I can help you guys do your homework. Oh my gosh, I just
definitely.
I helped somebody with in Irvine. It was like I was like getting pelted with leads. I had my phone would not stop ringing. We ended up with 10 lease applications in 3 days, and all of them, the lowest credit score was 635. Every qualified tenants with good credit, good income. So it is. I would much rather be the landlord than the tenant, and especially
much rather. Yes.
So many people trying for one property, and I had to tell 9 people that they didn't win. So that's never.
Wow. Yeah. So we need to buy things for people to move into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, thanks again for your time, Barbara. Give the family hugs for me, okay?
Will do, Angie.
All right. Take care.
Take care and be safe.
I will. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.